Welcome everybody to the Q&A for the Board of Governors position for the Law Student Division. To all the SBA presidents, reps, and law student liaisons, we're doing this Q&A session for the record with the ABA for the various different six different positions that will be we will be voting on between the voting period of April 15th to the 19th. So be sure to keep your eye on your email for the electronic ballot. You can also visit abaforlawstudents.com/elections to see the candidates' resumes and positions and position statements. The format of the Q&A is as followed. The Q&A is not going to last any longer than 30 minutes. Each candidate gets about 2 minutes to have an opening statement and introduce themselves and give some brief remarks. After that, the candidate will be asked a series of questions pulled from different members of the council and assembly. Each candidate will have a chance to answer each question asked. We're going to try to limit our answers to about 1 minute, and any leftover time from one question does not carry over to the next. And I will, hopefully not rudely, but kind of rudely, interrupt you guys as that minute comes. If a candidate mentions another candidate, then the candidate will have a chance to respond. We'll give roughly 30 seconds likely for that. And we're also going to just kind of randomly select who goes first. I just see Jennifer, you're on my screen right now, so I'll have you go first, and then we're going to alternate back and forth between the candidates to make sure that we're not favoring one candidate over the other in terms of who goes first. And then we'll give you about 1 minute of a closing statement. So to go ahead and start us off, what previous leadership experience, or I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. Opening statement. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Thank you, Anders. Thanks for having us. My name is Jennifer Sherman. I'm a 2L at Berkeley Law. I use she, her pronouns. I'm originally from New Jersey. I went to undergrad in DC, and then after graduation, spent a couple of years working in DC in the advocacy space before coming out to California to attend law school. I currently serve as the Delegate of Communications for the Law Student Division Council, and I'm excited to be running to be the law student at large on the ABA Board of Governors. This year has been extremely challenging for law students across the country. Yet, even in the midst of a global pandemic and the fight for racial justice, we have been told to keep our heads down and study for class, apply to jobs, and prepare for the bar exam as if nothing has happened. I want the ABA to recognize what law students are going through and to do something about it. And that's what I plan to do as the law student at large. My current leadership experience in the ABA, paired with my goals to reduce student debt, reform the bar exam, and address the inequities present in the law school pipeline, make me the best choice to be the law student at large on the ABA Board of Governors. I look forward to sharing more about me throughout the course of this Q&A. Thank you.
All right, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Niharika Thuraville. I'm a 1L at Seton Hall Law School. I'm also from New Jersey, and I went to undergrad at Rutgers University, where I got my Bachelor of Science in Astrophysics. But alongside of that, I spent 4 years during my undergraduate degree working to better my school. And the way that I did that was getting really involved in not just, student government, but also the functioning of the university as well, which included my position as the Senate leader for the undergraduate caucus and representative to the Board of Governors and the Board of Trustees at Rutgers. In my roles as representative and Senate leader, I was able to pass several pieces of legislation that assisted students in terms of redirecting funding towards mental health programs, making sure that common areas across the university were accessible to people of all genders, and allowing for a greater amount of funding to be directed towards accessibility programs that helped students that might have had disabilities access programs that everyone else could. And so I believe that given this leadership experience, and also my experience running for local office in Middlesex County, New Jersey, that I am best suited for this position, and I'm excited to share more with you all in the coming session.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the questions here. So I know that you just previously touched on it a little bit, but what previous leadership experiences do you have within and outside of the ABA? Niharika.
Sorry, I just wasn't sure who's going.
It's okay.
So I worked on the Rutgers Senate as the SA Senate leader for the undergraduate caucus, which involved me basically directing a caucus of 10 to 12 senators at any given point during the year, making sure that we were kind of getting updates from all of the committees, making sure that our voices as undergraduates were being heard in each of the committees, including budget and finance, governance, university governance, structure and governance, curriculum advising, and academic standards, regulations, and there were a couple of other committees that aren't really coming to mind. So that was one portion of it. The other portion of my leadership experience that would suit me for this role is running for local office. In 2020, I ran for Middlesex County Freeholder, and prior to that, in 2019, I won my seat as Middlesex County County Committee woman. And in both of those positions involve a heavy voting role on.
I'm sorry. Time.
My apologies.
Yeah, no, my apologies. I was on mute there for a second.
No worries.
Yeah, my mute button was kind of not working there for a second, so I apologize for the slightly rude introduction or interruption. So Jennifer, go ahead.
Sure. So as I mentioned previously, I'm currently the delegate of communications for the Law Student Division Council, which means that I keep law students in the loop of what's going on in the ABA. I also vote on behalf of law students in the ABA House of Delegates, and in that position, I've been able to be a liaison as a delegate to other delegates in various entities, see what resolutions they're trying to support, and try to get them to support law student resolutions. And then finally, I'm currently a member of the ABA Day Planning Committee, which plans the ABA's annual lobby day on Capitol Hill. And this year, in addition to our annual lobbying day, I'm helping assist plan a separate student-focused event in June on student loan forgiveness. And then at Berkeley, I serve on the board of the American Constitution Society. I'm a submissions editor for my journal, and I run a pro bono project, all of which includes lots of teamwork and balancing different tasks.
Thank you. All right. Why this particular job and not other jobs on the law student division? And we'll start with Jennifer and then go to Niharika.
Sure. So I knew coming into this role that it does require leadership experience prior. And so I wanted to make sure I had both ABA experience and experience from law school before I applied to this position. I also feel like the Board of Governors position gives me a chance to be a liaison between the law student division and various other entities in the ABA. And that's been probably my favorite thing that I've done as the delegate of communications. And so I really wanted to continue that on. And so that's why I feel like the Board of Governors role would be the best.
Thank you. And same question.
I think it's really important on a board that governs pretty much anything to have members that represent adequately the constituency that they are governing. And we don't really get that here. We get a board of governors and not very many law student votes on that board. I think it's really, really important to make sure we don't have just one starting out with, but maybe hopefully in the future, more law student votes on the board of governors. That aside, though, I really appreciate the fact that we do get a voice, we do get a vote. And, like Jennifer mentioned, there are so many issues with, the law school pipeline, the bar exam that are in desperate need of reform and that are in desperate need of input from those who actually have to take it and those who actually have to go through that pipeline. And I hope to be that student that's able to relay those issues to the Board of Governors and vote on behalf of students.
Thank you. Both of you have seemed to kind of touch on many different issues. So what is the most serious issue facing law students that you'd like to tackle within your role for the ABA? And we'll go ahead and start with you.
Sure. So For me, there are three pretty major issues that I'd like to tackle in this role. One of them is the law school pipeline and fixing the diversity problem that exists in it. I'm a first generation law student. There are no lawyers in my immediate family. And so it was very difficult to find the resources I needed to kind of make sure I got to get to where I am. And I want to say that if I didn't reach out to, through connections of connections of connections. And if I didn't put in, that extra time and the extra work I could have spent either studying for the LSAT or beefing up my application packet in another way, I probably wouldn't be here. And so I think it's really important for the ABA to provide those resources and to kind of, fix that diversity problem that we have in getting diverse students into law school. The second issue is the lack of support for law students, kind of seen widespread across the United States during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's kind of, disrupted jobs, it's disrupted activities, it's disrupted pretty much everything, class even. And so I think it's really important to address that in the Board of Governors as well.
I appreciate that. And same question again to you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I think there is definitely so many issues that need to be tackled, but the number one that I think we should start to focus on is student loan debt. I think that the Law Student Division paired with the Young Lawyers Division, who is burdening a lot of the student loan debt, should be tackling this. We know it's not a new problem, but COVID has exacerbated it. We don't know what's going to happen when loans leave the forbearance period, if the interest rate will go up. It's not completely apparent either how COVID has affected the legal job market, but student debt often plays a big factor in the types of jobs that law students are pursuing. It also happens to be one of the biggest barriers to many who want to enter the public sector, public interest work after graduation, which is my planned career path, and public service loan forgiveness simply might not be enough to persuade people to enter that career path with debt. So I think it's something the ABA needs to begin to tackle immediately.
Thank you. All right. So the Board of Governors representative has to hold their own when you're in a group with a lot of more experienced and seasoned attorneys. So I just would like for both of you in a quick, 1 minute answer. Can you share an experience or a time that demonstrates how you can succeed in such a competitive and professional environment? And we'll start again with you. Sorry, Jennifer. Both of you are on my screens at the same time, so when I'm saying you, go ahead, Jennifer.
That's a great question. I think the ABA should definitely be listening to law students because we're the future of their membership. And if they want to keep their finances intact, they have to listen to law students as a whole. A situation in where I had to speak up would definitely be in, I think, various council meetings this year when we were debating what to do with tackling the bar exam issue. I was one of the first to speak up instead of, making a minor change, trying to fix things here or there with the bar exam, trying to put out a general statement about it, that we need to do something major to the bar exam. And I felt like we needed to voice that concern immediately. And I was glad that I did, because those who might have not voiced it right away decided to, agree with me and that we needed to do more and potentially abolish it or make even a large change to it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Niharika, same thing.
I think a good example of such a time would be, again, I was a straight through student, graduated from undergraduate, and now I'm here. So during my time in the Rutgers University Senate, there was a point at which the part-time lecturer union, they didn't have their contracts renegotiated for the following year. And so there were, strikes and protests, and it was a very difficult time for the university because a lot of the adjuncts and the part-time lecturers were just, not in class, and students were missing out on their education. And so to me, it was really important that those contracts be immediately renegotiated and, settled. So when the university president came to address the Senate, give a State of the University address, it was important to me to speak up and kind of make sure that their the unions' voices were heard in that address, and making sure that the money that was going to athletics instead was going to go towards the contract renegotiations.
Thank you. So we have just kind of a quick little check-in. We have roughly 3 more questions to go, and then your 1-minute statements. So the next question, ABA membership in general has been on a decline for the last decade, and the division's membership was in decline before moving to a model that offers free membership. Why do you think association membership is declining among young people, and how can we reverse that trend?
Is this to me?
Yes.
Okay. So I think what's really important, and this ties back to what I was saying earlier, but as the job market for lawyers becomes increasingly more competitive, I think what people are looking for, graduates especially, and young lawyers, are looking for resources. We're looking for things to help us, get a job, find a satisfying career. So I believe we can reverse that decline of membership if the ABA were to offer more resources to young lawyers, maybe offer, more mentorship programs, offer more networking events, have a full roster or full slate of resources that, members can access at any time, and that might invite more membership over time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, this is definitely a huge issue, both with law students and young lawyers overall. I definitely think that taking a stand on issues that are important to young lawyers and law students would be key in recruiting them. A lot of law students might say, oh, well, my school can give me this, or this other organization can give me that, so what would the ABA offer me? And I think that taking a stand on issues like student debt, like the bar exam, like the need for racial justice change, would definitely attract law students to join the ABA because they're fighting for them.
Thank you. All right, so 2 more questions, and I'm going to start with Jennifer on this one. This question, Jennifer, you'll be asking Nihartha hold on one sec. Let me move this around. Okay, so Jennifer, you'll be asking Niharka a question, and Niharka, you'll be asking Jennifer a question. So what's one question you'd like to ask the other candidate, and then we're going to give the other person an opportunity to answer?
Sure. A question that I have for you is, what is the first thing you want to do after the pandemic is over?
Like generally?
It could be anything, whether ABA related or not.
I honestly, the first thing I want to do is see my grandparents. I haven't seen them in well over a year, and they just got vaccinated, and I think we're all in the process of getting our vaccine. So, when it's safe to fly again, I think definitely seeing my grandparents. And I have a newborn baby cousin I haven't met yet, so I'll probably see her too.
Both great things. And same thing, Niharka, you can ask any question.
Sure. So Jennifer, what would you say has been the highlight of your involvement with the with the ABA so far?
Sure. Although it's everything since I joined has been virtual, since when we were running last year, the pandemic hit, I've just really loved all of the people I've engaged with. I've loved all the members of the council, how passionate they are on the issues, how passionate leaders of different entities are on their issues. And I've also been surprised at how receptive some entities are to law student division goals. I think they realize that we're the future of the profession. And I think that was apparent during our this past mid-year meeting, where basically unanimously people voted to approve our menstrual product resolution, which would allow access to menstrual products during the bar exam. So that was really great.
Thank you. And this will be the last question, and then you both have about a minute to close. I believe we're going to start with Niharka here. So it doesn't have to be a life motto, but the question is going to have a life motto. It could be anything that motivates you, gets you up in the morning. But what is a favorite life motto you have? What's something that you can think about, or like a mantra that you can think of that, when times are tough, this is the thing that gets you going?
So personally, for me, I struggle a lot with like imposter syndrome and just feeling like I don't, I don't deserve where I am. And I think this was something that my dad told me when I was very, very little. And he said, anything is a learned skill. And I've kind of always lived by that. There really hasn't been anything I haven't tried, at least. And his motto was always like, try something a few times. And if you like it, you can get very good at it, and it doesn't matter what it is. You don't have to necessarily have prior talent. Anything is a learned skill.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I love that one. I think for me, I would say a life motto would be progress, not perfection. I think in law school and in the legal profession, it's like really easy to just like try to be the best, like perfect in everything you write, every email you send, every interaction with a client you have. And I think it's remembered, as long as you're working on improving yourself, as long as you're trying to move things forward, you're doing the best that you can be, and that's okay. And I think that's a great attitude to have also in your work as an ABA Board of Governors member.
Thanks to both of you. And before we get to the closing statements, I just want to say, I'm really excited for both of you to be running for this position. And I think that both of you are going to do a phenomenal job, both running for it and whoever it is that eventually wins will, I'm confident will do a phenomenal job. So I believe that, Jennifer, did you start the whole session? Okay. So Niharika, I'll give you the floor first, and then we'll have Jennifer end.
So I've had, this kind of leadership experience in, the prior academic part of my life, as well as outside of academics. And I'm really excited to bring this experience and these skills to my law school, and not just my law school, but also all law schools across the country. So I feel, I do feel like this is one of the best positions that I can fit on the ABA, and I hope that all of you see the same and are able to vote for me. Thank you.
All right, Jennifer.
Yeah, thanks again for hosting this. I hope I was able to demonstrate to everyone why you should vote for me to be the law student at large on the ABA Board of Governors. Between my current ABA leadership experience and the ability to liaise with other entities already, paired with my goals to reduce student debt, reform the bar exam, and address the inequities present in law school, I really hope I gain your vote, and thank you so much.
Well, again, thanks to both of you, and like I said, both of you are going to do a great job, and I'm excited to see where the election turns out. And if you guys have any questions or need anything, let me know. And thank you to everybody who's watching this, and hopefully this has helped you make a better and more informed decisions.